Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. Really excited to be having another conversation here with Energy Mastery founder, Siobhan Moran, and myself. I'm Nick Hansinger. This is our conversation about everything weird and woo, and which is basically every day for us. These are just things that are part of our conversation. And so this is your invitation to come on into the conversation and be a part of it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, today I'm really excited to talk about the search, the endless search.
And we're not talking about Google.
No. No, not the Googles. Not the Googles. It's basically everything that you can't find on the Google.
Yeah, there
and I think that's why it's so frustrating for people is they go on this endless search and they want to know, and they think that, I mean, Google's trained us now that everything that you could ever possibly want to know is exactly there on the Google, except for all those things that you really want to know that aren't. and that's tricky, because then it can get really frustrating. Like, where do you go for good information, and information that you can really trust, and information that's actually going to help you in your life? And that's really one of the biggest missions that we have at Energy Mastery is to put actionable tools in people's hands, like things that you can do in your everyday life that will actually get you results, help you be happier, help you have more ease in your life and success in your business and all those kinds of things.
And the reason I love this topic is because when I first started doing this, oh my God, people would come to me and I didn't know any other modality. I didn't even know hardly any other weird language. And, they were like, I heard about you through so-and-so, and they said this and they said that, but all I know is they said their life was better and they had no more pain and everything was improved. And then they'd tell me this litany of things that they had done or tried. Oh, I went to India and I did this thing, and they did their hands, and I came back and it just doesn't really kind of work. And then it messed up my whole money thing. And then there's this other thing that they'll put my picture on this plate and it will spin it around at a certain vibration. And and it's really funny, about every person who came to me who said that had radically bad money circumstances.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I think it got decimated. And then they'd say Reiki, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but yeah, sure, okay. And then they'd say these healing hands, and like all of these different names. And I'm like, I don't know. All I know is what I do is it's based upon this formula. Like, if you think about a recipe that you make a cake with, and it's, very formulaic, it's very systematized. And, I'm a computer programmer. I like systems. Our bodies are actually systems. They like formulas, fascinatingly enough. And I'd use these tools, and then I'd use the mental construct in removal of challenges and DNA core issues and stuff like that from people. And they'd be like, oh my God, that's like 20 years of therapy that you just did in 1 hour. And I'd be like, huh? Okay, cool. Then you should probably pay me 20 years worth of 20 years of therapy pricing. I have heard like so many things about people and their search in order to really understand, one, how they live, and two, what to do with how they live, and why do they feel this way when they're around people? Why do they feel drained? Why do they get sick at certain times and it doesn't make sense at all? And why does money it just goes on and on. And then why is it that every time you're in these high spiritual places that your money gets weird? It goes on and on and on and on. I think search is such a big topic in this woo thing conversation.
Yeah, because there is, with the information age, there's a lot of information out there, and not all of it's created equal there. You bring up a really good and I think an interesting point, which is the formula and following the formula. And so, with the big disconnect that I see, is that somewhere along the line, I don't know when it happened, I don't even want to go into all that necessarily, but somewhere along the line, a lot of the esoteric teachings got really twisted up and really convoluted. And you said it, you said it so spot on, is that our bodies follow the same natural law as everything else. We're all part of the same thing. We're all governed by those same laws. And somewhere when those teachings got twisted up, they lost touch with that. So the formulas got messed up, they got turned upside down, and all sorts of things happened, and those things are not working. And so when we talk about like the healing codes, like those codes are what we're, what you're unlocking through energy mastery, so that your system and you follow a system that actually works with those laws, so that your body can do what your body was designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's
like
essentially just unwinding all that weird stuff to get out of the way.
it's like playing with the truth of how energy works. Like I was reading something today that they're doing this new way of farming. Right. It's this new way of farming based upon taking, the pollution out of the air. And they stumbled on it. And really, effectively, all it's doing is it's, making nature do what nature does. And yet they're doing a farming technique based upon what nature organically already does. So it's fascinating that we've made it super complicated and then we have to come back and make it simple again.
Yeah, it's overcomplication. I personally, like, that's something, I'll be just really transparent with you. Like, that's something that, that well, in our conversations, that's something that I've definitely had a challenge with. Where do you think that comes from, the overcomplication? Like, why do we do that? Like, what's so enticing about that?
I think I have a couple pieces to that. I would say one of them would be we got into understanding that the more pages in a book, the more valuable the book was. Right? And it's not about the more pages in the book, it's really about what is on the page in order to get that point across. And the fascinating thing, if you think about the book analogy, it's like, well, most books are only read in the first 10 pages. And so is it really about the more pages, or is it really about the higher truth? And I am the higher truth seeker. I came in with a mission and a little kicking and screaming along the way. But I came in with this mission to help people understand that there's something beyond our physical senses that needs to be adapted to, so that we live in the physical world and really are a higher contribution. And that's why energy mastery. So, I think there's another piece to it of complicating is we think that explaining it more, it's just like yelling at somebody. Think about it like this. It's just like yelling at somebody who doesn't quite understand you, and your volume keeps getting louder and louder and louder. So it's like you keep doing more and more and more and more rules and regulations. And it's like, really, it's the simple things that are actually going to create the greatest transformation.
Yeah, it's funny that's you're so right on. And that's what we do. If we get frustrated, most people will, they'll turn up the volume, they'll over explain it again and again and again. And what I've found is that it's actually the exact opposite. When you get quiet and you just listen and maybe ask a new question, then all of a sudden you've got a very, very different conversation. And something new can reveal.
Well, there's this other piece of they're already trying to explain through their energetic, very dirty windshield to somebody else's very dirty, energetic windshield. And you have two windshields bouncing off each other. And then you have the humans behind the windshields trying to say, huh? What? What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? And so nobody's speaking the same language because the energy's not clean enough to even be heard.
Right. It's a whole other dynamic, like the difference is, okay, so you maybe overcomplicate it in your own head, and that's just dealing with your own stuff. And then you're trying to communicate that to somebody else, like, oh my gosh, and it happens all the time. And it happens especially in spiritual communities. I wouldn't say the spiritual, but like spiritual, like healing communities and things, like people who are into those sorts of things. And it's pretty fascinating to me that there's a lot of projection going on and there's a lot of mess that's being created. And I don't, I'm interested to hear your takes on this, but I think ultimately what it comes down to is, just not really having the techniques to clean up that energy. And what I mean by that is like, okay, I see a lot of people, they get really into like the spiritual teachings, they start meditating, they start doing all those things that we talked about at the very beginning, and it activates all their stuff then starts to come up. Like it just is like throwing gasoline on the fire. And so everything starts to flare up. And then now it's just like that much more that they have to deal with, and they don't have the tools, but they're really excited about it. So they're trying to tell everybody else about it, and nobody can hear them. And it's like the conversation is just not happening. And it just gets messier and messier and messier.
Yeah, it's like you can't put new wine into an old wine bag. You just can't, because it's going to be tainted. There's going to be something wrong with it. And it just is never going to work. You can't put, once something is out of a bladder, you just can't put something brand spanking new back. So it's like, okay, what is it that we really has to happen? And most modalities, like you were saying, is, you'll do meditation and you have all these wonderful things. And then all of a sudden things will go sideways. And there's this one piece that is never, ever, 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 did I say ever? Talked about. And it's the energy, cleaning up the energetic mess, because once you have something cleaned up, then the next layer and the next layer and the next layer can get resolved. And most modalities just make you codependent, not into having your own ability to resolve it.
Right. And then it becomes about always the next thing, on to the next thing, the next guru, the next teaching, the next little, the next trail that you can get yourself off on. And I think it really brings up, I think, one of the most important topics that's so core to energy mastery is the word mastery. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't master something by learning everything around that. You master something by going deep into it, really diving into that depth and diving into the core of, yourself, ultimately in the spiritual realm anyway, and in dealing with this. It's diving deep into the core. And so many people I've talked to on I do calls with people, and hundreds of people I've talked to, and so many people have done so many other things, and they feel like they should know by now. Like they really feel like I should know this by now. I should have it, but I don't understand what I'm missing, and I don't understand. I know it must work. Like I've seen it kind of work. I don't understand what I'm missing. And it's that information overload and going off on all these different trails and not really getting to the depth
of the energy. Of the energy. Yeah, of the
Yep.
true core energy piece. And really, really walking around and knowing, like really knowing that you could be able to solve anything, and your health, and look fabulous, and have a wonderful financial, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relational circumstances working in your favor, where, one of the spokes in the wheel doesn't just come off or get super, super wonky. And I've just seen, so many people search, and then I've had so many people come to me who've been in those searches for a long time, and they look gray. Like, oh, they're healers. They've been doing healing for a long time, but they look gray and kind of not healthy. And it's like, well, how many people are you working with? Oh, a couple. Well, yeah, when I was doing this with a clientele, I would see up to 60 clients in a week. I have a ridiculous amount of energy because I use the tools.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think you're maybe a little bit of an exception, just a little bit.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but same though. One of our trainers, I know, one of our new trainers, she sees at least minimum of 20 clients a week, and she's got energy. She's she looks good. She definitely does not look her age, that's for sure. and and she's bright and shiny, and because she's using the tools.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people, I think, really miss the mark, is they don't use it. And that's the biggest thing. But I get why they don't. Because it works for a little bit, and then it works a little bit less, and a little bit less, and a little bit less. And so our natural thought around that is, okay, well, I just must need to do it more. And so they do it more, and they do it a little bit more, and they do it a little bit more. And before you know it, they're like spending all of this time and effort and energy, and it's not getting them where they want to go.
Yeah. So the energetic resources and tools that they're using is, I call it upside down. I mean, that's what I've always called it. It's like, okay, those are upside down, those are backwards, and they're not really getting to the core issues that really need to be solved so that the practitioner can stay bright and shiny consistently day in and day out, and not have to depend upon sugar and coffee and all of these crazy town things to, keep their mojo up to see clients.
It's so upside down, I think, is a perfect word for it. But one of these days I am going to get you a drink to drink a cup of a nice strong cup of pour over, and I just want to see what happens.
Oh my See, yeah. We'll do 100 of these in a day. It'll be okay. Let's
go. And we'll have to play them back at half speed so that everybody can understand what's going on.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So the search is over. You found the right place. Is that's what we're trying to tell people, right? The search is over. You found the right place. Energy Mastery is the way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool. So where do they go? Where do they go to apply or find more information out?
Yeah, the search is over. Like, you already know. Like, if you've been on the fringes, kind of looking at, kind of figuring out what we're all about, what this is all about, like, you already know. And it's really just about finding that next step in. And honestly, the easiest and the most efficient and the best way to do that is with personal conversation. We've got
where do they go? What's the website?
So they go to energymastery.info/energy. And it'll take you to a little form, and then you fill out the little form, and then we'll have a conversation. It's really that simple. And we'll find the next best step for you. Like, if you're looking for a home, you just found your home. And now it's more a matter of just stepping up and really, having a conversation to find your place and find what you really need to get you to your next step.
Cool. Super excited. Thank you for being here and listening in to this weird conversation. And I hope to see you on the inside. Thanks, Nick.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Siobhan.